Welcome to Burning Metal Shooting the Breeze, episode 31. In this episode, I'm joined by Jamie and Dan of Aborted Earth. How are things, lads?
How's it going? All
Good
good.
stuff, Phil. Thanks for having us.
And thanks for playing the farewell gig this Saturday night downstairs in Fibber McGee's. It's a nice one. It's nice to be able to have a last gig, and just finish it all off and just walk away like
Yeah, that's
no more,
it's
no
always
more,
nice
no
when you
more
can walk
chasing any
away.
dragons. The dragons can fly the fuck away from as far away from me now as they possibly can. I'm not chasing them anymore. And that's the artwork. And on the else on the evening, you've got yourselves Eternal Hell Corrects, Two Tales of Woe, Fornot, Nomadus, Celtic Legacy, Asylum Road, and Ren Marrowbound the Berserkers. And that's €5 on the door. And all door proceeds go to the bands. I ain't taking a penny out of this. And if I said before, if no one has a cash with them and they can pay them a card, I'm going to make a list with the bands, and they go up and buy pints, and I just distribute them to the bands. So nobody hope you maybe get a few bob and a few free pints out of it. So hopefully it goes well.
Happy days.
Ah, yeah, look at man. The first gig I ever put on in Roscommon. It was around the corner. I gave all the bands €100 each because I had no experience.
Yeah.
So it cost me €500 to do the gig around the corner because it was free in. So,
Jeez.
so I said, this isn't going to cost. It's not going to cost quite that much, but it's not. It's in the ballpark. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Jesus, that's mad.
start and end the same way. Aborted Earth, you've been around a while now, but you've definitely been one of the most unusual. I wouldn't say unusual. That's not the right word. But every album is different, basically. That's probably the best way of saying it. You've been grindcore, you've been industrial, and pretty much everything else in between. Like,
Yeah, I don't think we meant to go as industrial as we did on on that release. That was what was it called Man-Made Mechanical Misery.
yeah.
That one. Were you around for that one, Dan? Or you
Uh,
just come in?
I think I just joined, but obviously you can tell just by listening to the album that my participation was absolutely zero, but still a good listen if anyone wants to go into the vault.
I think we went to a bit too. We said that we'd put like a little sprinkle of industrial stuff on top, but I think we just went completely fucking mad with it. Like so,
It's
but
like
I
when
think
you're
we only. Sorry,
it's
go
like when
ahead.
you're making a curry or something like that, and you say you're only going to add like a dash of chili or something like that, and
Yeah,
then before you know it, you're over at the tap.
or on the jacks.
Sure, you even had a cover of Ministry's Filth Pig on it, like, so that's not into.
Yeah, like we were always planning on doing a ministry cover, and I don't think anyone does really much off that album. You know what I mean? Like, but I love that album, so
Yeah.
it's always I don't know. I've always wanted to do something off that album, so that's why that's on there. I think that's the only thing that I like, and maybe two other songs off the album. I'm not a big fan of that. I think we play one track off it live. I think geez, I can't even remember the name of our own songs. What's the first one that we play?
MAGA,
Yeah, MAGA. Yeah, we
yeah.
played that one live. Yeah, but yeah, nothing really. I think we did God Bless America a few times, and then that was pretty much it. So I think we're leaving that one in the past. But everything else has been like punk, grind, maybe a bit of sludge in there and stuff like that. So anything that we like on the day.
Oh, that's good, like, because you're not pigeonholed into doing. You can do whatever you want, like.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I'm happy enough with experimentation with anything once we have blast beats somewhere. So
But I think that is the one of, if not the like unique nature of the band. It was for me anyway, and just listening to the songs. Everything is very different, but at the same time, everything seems just very aborted earth because I define that with albums all the time as like you know you don't want it to be too one note, but at the same time you want it to be some sort of consistency. And while there isn't a lot of consistency to aborted earth, but at the same time, to me at least anyway, it all makes sense and falls under that banner really well. And I think it makes for an enjoyable live experience too. Like, I'd be surprised if someone didn't walk in on Saturday night now, watch their set, and didn't like at least one or two songs, whether it be the punkier songs or the more death metal songs or whatever you want to say.
yeah, it's a lucky bag, a lucky dip. See what you get.
Yeah, it's a very different project from your first project, Jamie. That was catastrophe. Like that was a full-on trash band. Like,
Yeah. But I started this when I think I started this the year before we kind of were like we weren't toning down catastrophe or anything like that, but there was lots of stuff happening at the time, and I was thinking that right if this is going, this is going to end or whatever, I don't want to be kind of sitting on my hands type thing. I want to keep on going doing something, and I like trash and stuff like that, but I was quite bored, so I wanted to do something like I'm much more into death metal, hardcore, grindcore, stuff like that. So I was happy enough to do that, and I was talking to Dara from Horrenda, and we got chatting about doing a studio project, and he recommended Shannon to join as well. So that's kind of how everything kind of kicked off then. Like, and then when catastrophes, I think we played our last gig in Edinburgh, or yeah, in Edinburgh, and then I think like 2 weeks before that, we already had the first Aborted EP, so I kind of knew where that was ending at that stage before Edinburgh. So it was nice to not stop doing what I like doing. So so that was that.
it worked out well. And Dan, you've got a trash background as well too.
Yep, yep. So I'm still plugging away with Crossfire, and hopefully good stuff will be happening with them this year as well. But that's another conversation. But I remember, yeah, it was a night in Shinee in Dublin. It was probably only a couple of months before the pandemic put everything on hold. And after a few drinks, Jamie asked me would I come for a practice or two. And again, I originally kind of went into it just again, kind of wanting to do something else drumming wise apart from trash, just to make myself a better drummer. And if you listen to especially some of the earlier Warrior releases, which are all programmed drums, and hearing some of those crazy 30-second notes on the double bass and blast beats, which I'd never done before. So from a personal selfish point of view, I saw it just as kind of like a great challenge to hopefully make myself be a better drummer. But then since then, I think any of the live shows we played has been, it's been great fun, and it seems to have been well received. So yeah, that's kind of where I slotted in, and it seems to be going well so far.
Well, it's worked out well for Aborted Earth because you got Crossfire at the moment, or you're rewriting or recording, aren't you?
The album is recorded at the moment. It was, again, without going too much into it, we were
Yeah.
supposed to record it in the summer of 2020. COVID has delayed things far more than I'd like to, but the album is recorded, and we're hoping to release it in the third quarter of this year, I imagine it'd be. But again, that's another conversation we can have another day, hopefully.
No, no, I just wanted to bring it into the conversation that your
Yeah.
Crossfire are still, you're not Crossfire are not a thing of the past. Like you're
No, no, sure. We were lucky enough. We supported Zentrix there in Dolan's in March, and yeah, we're waiting on the mix for the album and writing some new tunes over the summer. So yeah, all's good over in that side of the house.
right. You're involved in one of the most infamous gigs of all time, the dreaded locksmith.
I was in the grand. I was
Dublin.
I was in the I was in the Grand Social
Oh
for
God.
Nea Blivicaris last night. I was just chatting to someone about it again because you're right. It's so bizarre, and I feel so bad, especially for anyone coming up from the country
Yeah.
to see the gig was cancelled with an hour's notice. But just the stroke of bad luck on that day. Like we got there at 5 o'clock. Um, Supposed to be the opening band telling. We were told we're probably not going to have time for your set. We're still trying to get into the van. Half an hour later, we're not going to have time for Animator Run after us. And then within an hour, hour and a half, the gig was done. But they tried literally every avenue to get into that van. Even had fecking guys on the streets, and we'll break into that for you for no bother. It's like it just wasn't happening. But yeah, no, it was just a serious and unfortunate event. But I'm chuffed that they were able to get back over there now a couple of months ago. And for anyone who was there, I will tell you the shows were great. So
Yeah, especially when you're going up the country now, the price of accommodation in Dublin is fucking scary bad now. Like,
But the,
oh
the
yeah,
good thing is though the likes of Limerick and Cork, they're far better than Dublin. I think gig wise, like at a local level as well, they're far ahead of Dublin. I think now,
Hmm.
whereas like maybe 5, 10 years ago, it was Dublin. Everyone had to come up to Dublin or whatever. Like bands don't mind going to Limerick or Cork now to play gigs and stuff again, so it's good. You know what I mean?
there's lots of great bands coming out of Cork, and I'll say hands down, I think Limerick is probably the best or my favorite place to play in the country. I think Dolan's is probably the best pound per pound venue going around, and we only played Pharmacia there a couple of weeks or a month or so ago. It was my first time playing there. I was
Yeah,
very, very impressed with it.
Well, that's right. You were on the War of Attrition, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. That's
with
right.
a great album there, or EP, great release there out a few weeks ago, and you couldn't talk to a bunch of nicer lads. So yeah,
yeah.
good night for all.
They had a good setup, and it was enjoyable. Everything went smoothly. Got a good crowd. Do you know what I mean? Everyone played really good sets, so it was good hoolie.
Good stuff. 1 second, lads. I'm just going to close this window. This dog is going.
Yeah, no problem.
How about it?
Shut up, you fucking cunt. I don't know what's wrong with him. Oh, fuck. Anyways, we'll go back to Aborted Earth. So, have you any planned for recording this year or anything, or have you just kind of just taking it as it comes?
We have pretty much we have a split with Organ Blender done, and that's pretty much 95% there. I think on like Organ Blender are done their part, and I think we're about 95% done. And then we released Nail Biter,
Mhm.
which is a single off. We're gonna release like an EP slash kind of sampler thing for a new album that we're writing since the pandemic, at least, you know what I mean? So, but we had an album kind of there at like all done demo stages, and I think me and Shannon are gonna go back because we haven't listened to these songs in a long time, or dug through them again. So we're gonna go back and kind of see what was good then. Do we still like it now? And then work ahead and see what we can do with them. But I would imagine we're gonna have a good few new tracks again. Do you know what I mean? So we're gonna release the split hopefully in the next month or two, and then we'll have an EP sampler type thing out a little bit later then. So that's pretty much everything for this year, I would say.
Well, that's enough.
Yeah. So it'll be good anyway. Like the split has good songs, strong songs on it, and they were all written during the pandemic, so they're all kind of dystopian, the world's ending type thing. And then the stuff on the EP sampler is like Nail Biter is pretty much about how fucked everything is and where it's kind of going, like, or what's going to happen, like. So I think pretty much everything's kind of around, like, again, like social commentary and stuff like that. But I think if we're gonna rewrite stuff and things like that, I think I'll take it more of how fucked this country is. It's kind of the selling point of the lyrical content, anyway. So because everything's going to the shits here, do you know what I mean?
It's really getting bad out there now. Like, I would not like to be young again, starting off, man. Because what the fuck do you do? Like, everything you can think of. You're like an AI could probably be doing that in 4 or 5 years' time. It really like their Congress in America now are calling for it to be regulated and everything. Like people think the AI thing is all just some lad with a tinfoil hat on, Alex Jones, or someone. But
Yeah,
it's actually it's worse than people really realize. It's scary.
yeah,
Like,
it's fucking mad. Like like in my situation anyway. Like I'm lucky enough, but looking around or looking at the news every day and stuff like that is shite. When I left school in probably like 2012 or something. Like I was told, like, you're good luck, like good luck, you're gonna need it type thing. So, and I think that applies way more now. Like, where do you go? What do you do? It's mad. You work a full-time job and you're barely getting by. Like,
oh, just about like. Well, it's good inspiration for Aborted Earth anyway. Because it's a good release too. Just
that's it.
it's
Like,
relatable.
Yeah.
you don't
You
have to
can't.
go back to World War I or World War II or Civil War or anything like that to get lyrical content now. You just take it from now. So
That's the coping strategy. You can't afford your rent or you can't afford a gaff or anything like that. Just spend your time playing in a grindcore or a trash band instead, and just have a pint and wait for things to blow over.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get down to the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over.
I'm not saying that's a good strategy, but it's the best one I've come up with so far. So
It's probably one of the most sensible strategies out there. I think it's better than trying to get rich or something, you know.
You're not going to do it doing what we're doing. So
Oh no, it's good that the band has lasted as long as it had because because you're all in different locations, which makes it really challenging. Like you know.
it's 100% the I think for me anyway. I think yeah, the biggest barrier towards it, and I'm proud that we've had the kind of success we've done, the good things that we've done with that in mind. Because even as something as simple as rehearsals before a show or something like that, and there's been times where we haven't got as much in before as we'd like to, and the show has gone reasonably well. But again, I think that lends itself as well to the live experience of the band. The way I always describe to people, like it's very much organized chaos, but that organized chaos to me anyway creates like such a good sound. I think so.
Yeah, because you've all got experience and across the board. Like you all know what you're doing. Like between Dara and Horrenda, your
Hmm.
Crossfire, Jim, you were at Catastrophe, and what were the other lads in? I know Shannon was more of a producer type role, isn't he? Or
he was in Horrenda for a little bit
hmm,
as well. And then he's done Zero Pulse as him.
yeah,
And I think that's all just, like one man
hmm,
band type
yeah,
thing. And then we're Ian's first band, so that's Shannon's brother.
oh,
He's our bassist, and he came in probably
I
nearly a year now.
I think it was at the start of last year. I think Ian's first gig ever, I think definitely his first gig with us was to a packed house in Fibbers on the first round of a Metal to the Masses
Yeah, that was it.
night,
Yeah,
which we got through. And I remember my first gig being, well, I was only 15 to around about six people, one of which was me ma upstairs in what was called the Pint at the time, to,
yeah.
in the middle of the day. So for him to dive into the deep end like that was very cool to see.
Oh yeah, if you're going to play to fibbers like that, it's a great experience, you know. If you, once you get that out of the way, nothing can phase you after that. Then you've played to the big crowd, you know.
I don't think we've given him enough stick about Jamie will know, Darren, I'm sure most people will know was in that. Oh yeah, when it starts out, it's a lot of playing random Thursday, Friday nights to five or six people. I don't think well, I think we've been lucky enough. Ian hasn't quite got that experience yet, so.
yeah.
But
I
I'm
hope I
not.
didn't get it at the weekend either.
No, no, no. I don't think so. No, but look, what's lucky for him? Well, I think we're grateful for it. So.
I remember with Catastrophe, we played the smoker stage, the one beside the smoking area at Siege. We played to a packed house, 2 o'clock in the day. Happy as Larry, like we were fucking really chuffed. And then I think we were playing Fibbers on a Thursday night, and we played to literally the sound guy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just fucking, you're getting the polar opposites, like so.
The
Yeah,
Thursday nights and fibbers seem to be doing all right again now, though. The rage
yeah,
nights.
I think that was way before I think Mikey was doing the Thursday night session thing. So I think that was just a gig that was just put on. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, it's a. I was going to say it's a. Give me a drink. It's a mad one. What happened with Levine at the weekend on just quickly on this and the Metal to the Masses that they were only a band since the start of the year and the Metal to Bloodstock like.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Sam, I didn't catch their set on the night, but the full set went up on YouTube, and I caught a bit of it. And again, really good, very very much deserving of it. I think, yeah, between Four Not last year and Levine this year, like we've had some deserving winners of the last one, which is good to see. And I'm pretty sure all of the bands in the final this year, not all of them were brand new, but a lot of them were very new and their
Mhm.
first time in the competition. I saw Ritual Effect on the night; they're really good. Nebularis on the night, really, really good. So it's good to see that there's definitely some momentum going about.
Mhm. And then, of course, their bass player only started playing the instrument 4 months ago.
No
Brilliant.
way.
In.
Really?
Yeah, he
I
was a
didn't know that.
brother of one of the lads, and they were stuck a bass player, and they said, "Can you play bass?" And he said, "I'll give it a shot." And 4 months, 5 months later, he's playing Bloodstock.
Jesus, that's amazing. Like,
The bass player joke in there we won't make.
It kind of plays into the whole kind of DIY hardcore spirit of it, though. I don't want to pigeonhole them by saying they're just hardcore or
Oh,
anything like that. But no, that's a cool story.
very, very cool. Very. Will you go back for it again next year, lads, or did we thought that far ahead?
um, probably not. I'd say no.
I think personally myself, and you saw this year with all six bands in the final this year that hadn't entered the contest before. And again, this is no slight on anyone or anything like that, but I think that's a good thing. I don't see there being the merit as in like we played last year, we got to the final and we enjoyed all three gigs. We played to Simon and the judges and had a look at us, and we weren't selected, and that's totally fine. We've already gotten the opportunity to kind of put our best foot forward. I think it's cool to see that in the years going ahead now there'll be more new bands in the final, kind of like getting their shots, and uh, but again, it's a great opportunity to play a packed house in Fibbers on a Saturday night. But unless I'd say though that not next year would be in. I think
I,
I'm right saying, Jamie.
I think like the smart thing for us to do would be to kind of go away, play more live shows, get more material out, and switch up our set list. So we have a different set list going in.
Mhm.
The next time we go for it, if we do, and if we get to the final and Simon sees a different set list, and you know what I mean, he might like that more than the one we played there last year. So like that would probably be the best port of call. But I think we should give it a break now for a year or two and just focus on uh, gigs elsewhere and get our own stuff done. So
Yeah, have you any plans to go over and try and play the UK or anything, or are you just going to keep it national?
um, definitely, if not the end of this year, it will definitely be the start of next year that we'll probably hop over to Scotland with a few contacts in Scotland, stuff like that. And I know Dara's been playing. I know Horrenda have been doing a lot of gigs in the UK, so we'll see what the crack is there. There's Wales as well. Gavin Davies out of Sodomized Cadaver as well. He's good contact. So yeah, so we'll see. Like I think right now the best thing to do would be to try and still build a reputation here first before going off. So
Oh, well, you've been doing quite well over the last few years. Most all your stuff has really got a very good positive reaction, I found.
yeah, I think so. Like live, we've added in a few new songs and stuff like that, and they've been received well. So we're still kind of like it's hard to swap out stuff because we like playing the stuff that we're playing. So um, but yeah, like everything's been received well, and so hopefully it just stays that way and gets better. You know what I mean? People still dig newer stuff coming out. So
I'm really digging the newer stuff myself because and again, coming from the drummer's perspective, Nailbiter that we released there a couple of months ago was the first song that was released with like live acoustic drums, and luckily it sounded pretty good. So, but and then there's another song this in the set list, Vicious Circle, which people hear on Saturday night, I imagine, and that's another belter. And I'd find now with some of these kind of the new songs as well, that the fact that they've kind of been written or we've started with the acoustic drums rather than already being released on the electronic, again gives it a new feel or a new bit of excitement for me myself anyway. So hopefully the kind of that trend will continue as we start releasing more and more material. I know a few of the songs that Jamie has mentioned, or we have songs recorded with acoustic drums as well that can be released down the pipeline hopefully, and can't wait to hear them. I can't wait for people to hear them as well.
Very good, very good. But yeah, you're gonna try and go with a label route again because you were with Southern Strike Records for the Mechanical album, and there, of course, that label is gone now. But have you any plans for that kind, or are you going to go independent?
um, I don't. I don't know. Like I always have the, I always like the idea. I think Sudden Strike were like more of like a collective type thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. That's always it always sounds nicer than a label or whatever. Like, and Eddie was always really cool to us. We did gigs with them, and we did that release, and we were planning to do. We did a few compilations and stuff like that. Um, where we did a Nirvana cover, and I don't know if they brought out did they bring out the Doors one? They did
No,
a compilation. We did a Doors cover as well.
everything else. No.
No, we did a Doors cover as well. I think that's a bit mad, that one. Um, I must actually ask Shannon where that is, because if they're not releasing that, we should definitely release that. It's fucking mad, like. But yeah, like I think if like for the next album, I don't think for EPs and stuff like that, there's no point in looking around for anything like that. But for the next album, I would like to at least throw it out there and see if anyone has any interest, and if they don't, they don't. If they do, they do. Happy days. But that would be kind of my thought process on it anyway. I wouldn't be too pushed. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
You can maybe try Cursed Monk Records.
I think they not specialize in the doom sludge stuff, and
Well, you never know. They might.
they might. Yeah, we'll do a 20-minute epic, and we'll see what they think. Like,
Suits me. I could slow down a bit.
Yeah. But we do have some slower. We do have some slower songs. Do you know what I mean? But like, if they were interested, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? Like, we're always open to anything. So I think our music speaks for that as well. So
We'll put the call out there to any labels that I'm sure are listening. Like, if you sign us up, there won't be another band like us on your label. I can almost guarantee you that. So, if nothing else, you're getting that selling point.
yeah,
That is very true. That's what myself and Adrian, we've always been saying it. But anytime we've covered the band, it was just like we never knew what we we're going to get until we hear it. Like, because as I say, you've been industrial, you've been grindcore, punky, bit of everything. So. But it's good to see you're evolving and you're still going. And we're going to play just I won't play the full track. I'll play about a minute of your track, Nail Biter, just to give people an idea what to expect. Knock it on now. Yeah, there's a big long intro on this, isn't there?
yeah.
You'd want us minute to minute 10 in before it kicks in, I think.
Yeah, but I must have to remember there is a long intro to this. Yeah.
You're watching this.
anymore now because it's 6 minutes long, so it's a long one to put into the podcast. But I like the kind of old school production you've gone around the route with. You know, it doesn't. It sounds like it's like an old who do like Zom or someone like that. One of those bands. You know, the kind of echoey kind of sound of it. Is that done on purpose?
Yeah, we did. We kind of had that on the first. Didn't have it on the first EP. We had it on the first album where we kind of kind of gave it a lot of room and a lot of reverb and stuff like that. So I always think that's kind of part of our sound. I think we took that out in the industrial one where that was a real dry mix, like, and stuff like that. But yeah, I always love like that airy kind of big, big reverby sound. I think it blends well to atmosphere and all that stuff for us. So
Like atmosphere is the key word there. And again, like, well, I'd never be the biggest fan of kind of blacker death metal or whatever you want to call this. So a lot of the times these is when it's overproduced, it really takes me out when everything's kind of too quantized or kind of mechanical or something like that. But this track in particular, I remember recording it with Shannon down in Cork and hearing the final mix weeks or months later or whatever it was, and the version I was listening to, the demo version, they had none of the kind of high guitar leads in there, none of the organs or the choirs. So when I heard that for the first time, it really like elevated, and I was like, yeah, there's something there with this one. So
Do you have all? Will you be having all the effects on the night when you're playing? Sorry.
when Shannon originally did the kind of choiry vocal on that track, so she does that on the night as well. Do you know what I mean? So, but the organs and stuff isn't there. But it's like Sarah would kind of look after the lead kind of technical side of our live show, basically. So it would be more on the fly, whatever he throws in and stuff like that. So you get something different every time, like, and it's pretty good. Like, I think that's the best. Have your recorded version and then your live version have a bit different, like, and stuff. But it still has the power and stuff like that with it, like, so.
I mean, we did ask Levy and Marson in Fibbers would they get the rental organ and carry us downstairs for the night. But would you believe they haven't answered our messages? I still don't know why, but
God help anyone bringing that down them fucking stairs, man. Jesus Christ, you need back surgery after that.
I'm sure we've all been there on a night downstairs in Fibbers. Sometimes it's hard enough just to walk down those stairs without carrying anything and keeping on 2 feet. So I wouldn't be asking that of anyone.
Yeah, well, it'd be very hard to replicate that in a live environment anyway, you know, because it's just the recording is so different from what the live sound would be.
Yeah, I think that's good though as well. Like, I think if you're gonna put something down to record, try and make it as epic as possible. Like, if you're going that route or whatever, I hope we do kind of more songs in the vein of Nailbiter, because you can do a lot with that sound, with that blueprint, like, and then live it has a more raw feeling, but it all has the kind of sense of dread and, oh, like, you know what I mean, like, so it's good. You're just giving it 2 different versions, like.
Oh, very good, and I look forward to finally seeing you live at the weekend.
Deadly stuff. We look forward to playing for you
Looking
live.
forward to it as well.
I actually was at the siege you were playing, but you had the massive misfortune of clashing with Conjure.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh God, the
Yeah.
main room was wedged for them. Like,
Yeah. There's still a few people in front of us. So
oh, I
that was
heard
good.
you. The few, all right, but
I love the Siege, and I love for like just the actual room and the venue itself. I love the Casbah and the Siege, but I have found that from playing at that time, just going to bands, that sometimes, depending on how the chips fall, if you're on that stage, you're not going to get the biggest crowd in the world. But any time, I've been lucky enough to play the Siege with Crossfire, Jamie has with Catastrophe, Darius with Horrendo. Like, any time you're invited to play, no matter what stage you're on, what time, more often than not, you're going to have a very enjoyable experience. So
Yeah,
it's a great
definitely.
event. And hopefully, I wouldn't promise it won't be as good as the Siege now this weekend, but hopefully everything goes well off the hitch and we have a good night.
Yeah, and it's a great lineup as well. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Siege lineup, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm dying to see Two Tails of Woe again. I haven't seen them since Sligo last year. I haven't seen Four Not in a while. Looking forward to them. I haven't actually listened to them yet, I'm afraid, but I've heard nothing but good things about the likes of Nomadus as well. So yeah, and again, I think there's very very much something for everyone as well. Saturday night, while every band being being very kind of unique in their own right, but very strong. So.
And of course, we have to give a shout out to Celtic Legacy, who had Jesus, man, they had such a bad run of luck over the last while, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another band. I think they were the band I was looking forward to seeing the most on the night. Like I'd heard the name for ages, and then when I heard they were back, I listened to a bit on Spotify, and I'm just a sucker for those old stock kind of Tin Lizzy harmonies, so I was buzzing for that. And but sure, these things happen. Hopefully they'll be back now in no time, and we'll get to see them somewhere else.
Or
Yeah,
get to play with them.
yeah, they're planning to come back later on this year when Slim, the bass player, has recovered from his surgery that he had to get done. So
Yeah.
they tried to get a replacement, but it couldn't be done. So what can you do?
So I'm sending all the best wishes to him as well. Like, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, you know.
Bad run of luck. So
Oh, look, sometimes that's what happens when you get older, lads. Things start going wrong, and I know I'm only 43, but I'm fucking feeling the knees and stuff now. And sometimes, it's not fun.
yeah, I fucked up my back like 2 years ago, and I was 26 at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, so fuck's sake, like.
Sure, we were talking about earlier about the late night Thursday gigs and fibbers, and I was just like, geez, can you imagine doing that now? Even being just as a punter going into the Grand Social last night, having a pint for the gigs, like I'm knackered already and it hasn't started. so nothing but good things to look forward to.
Exactly. And we'll leave it on that positive note because Aborted Earth is such a positive band. All right, lads. Thanks for coming on, and the Aborted Earth will be on at 12 o'clock on Saturday. You'll be the second last band on the night, and you'll be playing for 40 minutes. So hopefully the crowd goes well for you. And as I've said to Aaron Redmar about when it comes to the last couple of bands, I will be dropping the door just to get them down to get the upstairs crowd down. Because when I've done it before, the last gig around there, 4 years ago now, actually, Jesus. When I came to the last couple of bands, I just opened the door and they piled down, actually. I was surprised, but they all piled down. So hopefully it works again.
Yeah, happy days.
We'll have Ian going around. Yeah, we'll have Ian going around with the collection bucket before our set as well. When the doors are free, people can chip in and buy the bands a pint.
Exactly. Bring it out loudspeaker with you and start roaring people to come down. Right, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, Phil.
That was the